Good morning and welcome to another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. I am Meaghan Ziemba and I'm here with Nicole Wolter. Is that how you pronounce her last name?
Yeah, Wolter.
Okay, awesome. And she is the president and CEO of HM Manufacturing. Nicole, I'm really excited to have you on here because you're full of energy. You're always go, go, go. You're really fun to talk to. And I love your story. I love seeing the stuff that you're posting on LinkedIn all the time. You had one recently where you were actually on the shop floor making products. And I think that is so cool because you don't see that a lot with presidents and CEOs. And you're a woman in manufacturing, and I'm 100% on your team. I think you're great. I'm a huge fan. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what HM Manufacturing is and some of the products and services that you guys provide for people in manufacturing?
Yeah, so HM started in 1979. We're second generation. My father did start it, and it was kind of curtailed on his experiences with Formula race car driving because that's what he did. So when he would take his engines apart, he would kind of tinker with the gear ratios and kind of thought this would be like a good avenue to go down, especially because he was super passionate about it. So it morphed from automotive, and now it's food processing, beverage, packaging, aerospace defense, medical, and automotive. And we make all the internal components for power transmission components. So gears, splines, shafts, shivs, and things of that nature. We do a lot of stuff. And now we include assembly. So we've been progressing along. Yeah.
So when I initially talked to you about being on the show, you are not interested in manufacturing at all, correct? Like this was not something that you wanted to pursue at all. So can you tell us a little bit about how you started in your HM Manufacturing, how your dad recruited you? What was that like?
Well, I feel like it just was very serendipitous in how it all happened. I was chemical engineering and finance, and I really wanted to go to Wall Street and live in Manhattan and live that bougie lifestyle. And then in 2008, as everyone's graduating, that's when everything was happening. The economy was crashing. It was really difficult to kind of stay afloat. My dad was calling me previously saying he's having a lot of issues at the company. We're losing sales. He's just very stressed out, and somewhat recruited me in like a level of would love to have you, think you'd be great for sales. Maybe this could be like an interim thing. Would you be willing to help? And I said, for sure. And then, just like a typical dad said, forget it. I want you to go get kicked around a bit before you come here because I don't want you to be like this princess that's going to come around and start dictating things, especially because he knew I knew nothing about the industry at all. So I did. I left Kansas, graduated, went and found a job, a securities firm down in Chicago, lived there for a bit, and then got fired. I just, of course, like being super opinionated and kind of watching things I really didn't like and thought were super suspect. So I got fired. And I just showed up at the company. I said, okay, I guess it's time. And so my dad had me, and it was great. I learned literally from the ground up. When I say that, I literally did not know anything. I didn't know what products we made. I didn't know what these machines were. I didn't even know what our customers were. It was pretty bad. So I started in shipping, receiving, went on to inventory maintenance and started to learn that. From there, it was purchasing of the materials and raw materials and sundries and trying to learn that. And then it just went into somewhat of the secretarial work, which was time cards, payroll, cost analysis to the jobs, to estimating, production managing. It just started to morph into more of the everyday allotment of what you do for a company. And it took a few years because I didn't know much of anything. So it was just a lot of grit, hard work, a lot of fights between my dad and I because I didn't know much. And, we're both very type A, and my dad knows this like the back of his hand. So he'd go, I would need steps of A, B, B and a half, B and 3/4, C, and he would go from A to Z. And it was difficult. So as I was learning the ropes here, a lot of people do know the story. I definitely uncovered a massive scandal here. And it much, that's how we were losing so many sales, is I did have the overwhelming majority of my shop floor, pretty much everybody, started their own company inside my company. And so they were taking my customer lists and they had everything at their disposal, including my machines, my materials. And so that was a great thing. So that was my baptism by fire, is that when we did let everybody go, we were left with like 3 employees. And of course, I didn't know anything. I'm still like in the process of trying to figure things out. What is a CNC lathe? What does it do? What is a timing belt lathe? How does that relate to everything? How do you make it? How do you flange it? What is flanging? And it was probably the best thing that could have happened to this company, because not only did I come in with open eyes, I learned everything. And I think that's what's made me super lethal here at this company and for the industry itself, is that I understand things. I may not be like a savant, but I know enough to know. And when we're shorthanded, I can jump on a machine and help out. When I have to do negotiations, I've learned how to do negotiations. I know how to quote. I know how to do so many different things that I can step in when needed. And that probably wouldn't have happened if the scandal didn't unearth itself and forced me and pushed me to just really have to learn as much as I could in a very short amount of time. And that led me to, well, I don't want to ever be caught like that again. I want to really know everything. And so my dad wasn't a good teacher. I'm a very visual learner. He's not. And that's why I decided it's best for me to learn how to do precision machining classes. I went to Harper. I enrolled myself. I thought it would be a really good idea. And from there, I was looking at my systems. I saw how archaic our entire front office was, that morphed into the shop. And I think that's what led to a lot of the issues we were having, including theft and thinking that they could get away with it. Is that there was so much paper. It was paper everywhere, and no one was really looking into it. And I'm very different. I'm like investigative. I feel like I should have worked for the FBI. I love to discover things, good, bad, or indifferent. That's definitely my personality. I love numbers. I love researching, and I love figuring out what's what. And a lot of it that I've done is self-taught too. So
I think you bring up a lot of good points too,
yeah.
of what a good leader is in manufacturing, because there are so many things that are involved in the sector that people don't really realize or understand. And you're not there to like tell everybody what to do, but you had this natural curiosity. One, you really cared about the business because it was owned by your dad. So it's like your baby, and you're very passionate about it. And you kind of came in there not wanting to let your dad down or fail him. So when all of this uncovered and you had to let so many people go, I mean, what other decision did you have but to dive head deep into it and learn it and continuous improvement? I think all great leaders have that characteristic about them where, they're always curious and they always want to learn. Like they never stop learning. They're always reading or going to classes, asking people who are experts within that genre or industry, how do you do this? How do you do that? And really connected and collaborative with the people that they work with. So I think you bring up a lot of good points. And when you had to let everybody go and you had to start hiring more and more people as you became more and more successful, what sort of ideal candidate were you guys looking for?
So it differs, right? I mean, my dad is old school, and so it's all about experience. I'm very different in what I look for. And this is going to be super controversial, I hire on vibes, which is so crazy to say out loud, but I do, because I feel like you can teach someone, as long as they have a good attitude, they have energy, and they want to learn. That's everything I'm looking for, because that means that they're going to roll with me. So everything that I unveil, every new technology that I want to put on the floor, that means they're excited about it, and they're going to be excited about it, and they're going to be more helpful and want the company to succeed and do more. I feel like when you start to hire with a lot of experience, sometimes they come in as prima donnas already, and they're already so used to the status quo of, well, this is how I always do it. And that's like my biggest concern, is that they come in with, well, this is the way we've always done it. And I like it where it's, hey, I may not know a lot. And so I can mold them, right? I can teach them
Mm-hmm.
you do things and then integrate into our systems. Or if I want to add on a new piece of technology, a new software, they're all ready for it. So I have a ton of millennials. I have Gen Zs here. My average work employee out in the shop is 34 and a half. So that says a lot. My youngest is 18.
Wow.
And I love it. I think it's so fun. I think it enhances us. It forces us to really get with the times. And I think that that's what a lot of manufacturers kind of struggle with, is that
Mm-hmm.
not really up to date. They're struggling with technology. They're struggling with aging workforce. And the only reason why I started to really go down this avenue of getting younger people in was that while we were starting to recruit and kind of get ourselves back up and running, we hired a couple people that ended up being somewhat cancerous with their energy and the way that they were working, and just they were always picking fights with people. And every time I would say to my dad, like, this isn't going well, I'm hearing complaints from this person, this complaint from this other person. My dad would say, well, how are you going to replace them? No one's going to be able to, how are we going to hire someone? You can't find anybody. And I just hated that comment so much that I just wanted to do away with it. And I also think that it made it worse because then they were demanding what their wages should be, even if they didn't have that certain skill set. So you felt trapped against a wall. And I thought that that was so unfair because we're really good to our employees. I mean, there's a lot of great benefits that we have. We're pretty laid back. We're pretty chill. And so when you have people that are just so demanding and their skill set really doesn't warrant that, I think it also sucks for everybody else that's out there too. And I think that it makes them feel like they're not worthy either, or that they no longer want to show up to work because it's such a toxic environment.
Yeah.
That's a scary situation. So that's when I went and I started to get really involved with TMA, and I was asked to be on their education foundation. And then I started to meet a lot of the local high schools that have manufacturing programs, because we were granting money to these high schools. And I met the superintendents and the principals and the teachers that have these robust manufacturing programs. And one of their biggest gripes was, we're really getting these kids skilled. They're coming out with NIMS credentials. They're coming out with being able to do, soft skills, but something that's moldable. But we have nowhere to send them. They have nowhere to go. And so I said, I'll take them. I will take as many as you can give me. And I think it was the best thing, because my dad thought I was nuts and I was crazy. Like, we're not that big. I mean, we really have 20 employees. So there's not a lot of room to have new hires and to have these interns. But I just made sure that they would shadow everybody. And it was so good and so healthy, because you saw the performance of the guys out in the shop change. And the ones that didn't want to mentor and be a part of it, I ended up seeing them as someone I didn't want to bring with me to the next stage. And so I would let them go. And then I would hire these kids that were seniors in high school that did come with great soft skills that I could send to TMA for training in CNC, that I could then start an apprenticeship program. And a lot of them are still with me today. I promote from within. So if someone decides they want to go to greener pastures because I can only afford so much, I can only do so much. And I understand that over time, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But I love to promote from within. I had one employee who started with me at 18. He graduated, went through my apprenticeship program, started in a variety of different divisions. He went from CNC hobbing to CNC milling, and now I offered him a position in CAD. And what a seamless transition, because you've been out in the shop for 2 years, that you understand how we need to make these prints, how it goes out into the shop, how it needs to be made, and the types of tools we're going to need. So he's such an asset. And
Yeah.
so great, because he loves to learn. So it's all about, do you like to learn? Do you want to move up in the world? And being transparent. I mean, I was very transparent with a lot of my employees here and the growth, and if there's a possibility where they could go. Like I said, being only 20, there's only so much advancement that they can get.
Right. But I think that's awesome too, because it shows that when you bring in either apprentices or interns, it allows your current employees to feel valuable as well too, and it kind of changes up their work day, because not only are they going from being a worker and probably doing some of the same thing every day that's repetitive, but now they're in a teacher and mentor mode, and they're teaching someone their skill set, and it makes them feel a little bit more valuable themselves as well. So it gets them excited about going into work, and like they're changing something and they're setting up the future for success. And I think that is a great way to just motivate people to do the best that they can in their work. Someone sent in a question, so I want to touch on this. Maria Perez asked, when you face sexual harassment in your career, how do you diffuse it in a professional but tactful way? And I don't think we've ever come up with that type of question before. So I'm sure as well as I know, in this industry, we get looks and we get, comments and stuff, and sometimes we just have to shrug them off. But what are some of the ways you deal with that in a tactful way?
So I feel like I've been really lucky to not be sexualized. I think it was more so for me that I was kind of thrown into this industry. And I think, especially for people that have been in this for so long, you're seeing like this young girl, 25, 26, 27, who is super green. I felt more so that they thought that I was maybe stupid, right? Because you just don't know much. And I think it was about proving them wrong. So I would play it off as if I was stupid. I didn't know anything, even though I was still learning. And to me, it's been such a great situation where now I am where I am, and I'm taking the company in such great direction that those people that really thought of me and thought so little of me now really see what I'm worth. And it hasn't really been sexually driven or related, but I feel like it's been more so of the treatment of being like a dumb woman in the industry. So they thought. But if I was ever sexually harassed, I probably would give them a piece of my mind, because I'm very opinionated and very vocal, and I think that I would embarrass them. And that's just who I am. No one's ever tried that. Maybe because they always see that I have a face that says "Don't mess with me."
That's good though. I mean, I've been to several trade shows as an editor, and I remember they thought I was a booth bunny or a booth babe, and I was like, "No, I'm here to get stories. Thanks." Like, how do you respond to that? I'm just like, I don't look like a booth bunny for one. Thanks. I'm not dressed that way, and just being able to have those conversations and being able to talk the talk with them, I think that too, where they were just like, oh, she really does know what she's doing and talking about. It's so funny how they have some of the trade shows. Hopefully, I've gone to a couple in the past couple of years, and it hasn't been as prevalent as years past. So I'm hoping it continues to go that way, where you don't see so many of them. But
changing, right? I think the dynamics of the old school manufacturing are definitely changing, and I see women attend the shows as engineers, as purchasing agents, as top tiered people and executives, and
yeah.
So it's not really a man's manufacturing world anymore. It's super inclusive. There's diversity. There's a lot of great things happening. And the last IMT show that I went to, and it was 2018, it was just so exciting to see the differences all around. I mean, I saw women who were in marketing. I saw Latinos that were really doing a lot and just being so vocal, and they're salespeople. It's so fun to see how it's changing, and I love it, and I think it's great, and it's healthy all around. But yeah, I was with you. I mean, at my first trade show, my dad, I was 25, and it was kind of the same situation. They're looking at me, and because I do wear very different types of clothing. I like to wear tight sheath dresses. So I know that I got the looks, but you know what? I will always welcome the looks.
Just don't say anything negative.
Correct.
So I want to talk about your recent announcement too about becoming the treasurer of TMA, and you're also one of the board members, correct, for TMA?
Yep.
So how has that experience how has that experience been? And can you maybe express what your opinion is on why it is important to be part of those types of groups? Because when I first saw you speak, it was at a Women in Manufacturing event, and you got an award at that event too. And it was inspiring for me because I was like, wow, this is a really strong, level-headed female that's in the industry. She knows her stuff. She knows what she's talking about. She shakes everyone's hand. She looks them in the eye. You can tell that she's listening to people. And that's the type of mentors and leadership that we need, in my opinion, to get younger generations interested in the sector. So what is your opinion on the importance of being part of those groups?
I think they're paramount for someone's growth, for someone's ability to just get out of the company and learn and hear what other people are going through. I do not think I would be where I am today if I wasn't a part of these associations. That is 100% truth. And that's because you meet so many people and they're always willing to offer advice, to help guide you. There's been so many of my male peers, including women peers, who have helped me grow, who've inspired me, who've mentored me, who've given me some great pieces of advice of how to grow your business or what to do within your business. I mean, coming from not knowing anything, of course, I was still so green of like, what's an ERP system? How do you integrate that? How do you even have something as basic as reviews for your employees? I mean, I didn't know much of anything, and it was so great to be a part of these associations that have those types of training for yourself, that you have other colleagues that have been through this, whether it's second generation, third generation, that they've been through it already, so they can offer you the pros and the cons and kind of help streamline you so you don't have to waste so many years trying to figure it out. They're already helping you. And I feel like I've gotten so far in my career so fast, so quick because of them. The first 5 years, I didn't do anything but work on the business because it was struggling and I needed to understand what was happening internally. But then by 2016, I said, that's it. It's time. I need to start seeing what else is out there. And start growing my network. I didn't know anybody. And in order for you to really learn yourself and understand what's happening in other parts of the industry for manufacturing, it's so important to meet people. And I'm super blessed by having a lot of friends in the industry. They don't necessarily need to be competitors, but whether they're stampers, whether they're just Swiss turning, whether it's gear shaping like I do, it's just so great to be able to call on your friends and say, hey, what are you seeing in the industry? What's happening with you? Especially during COVID last year when no one knew.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times all of us from every different walks of life that I was friends with, we were all calling each other and trying to give resources of what they're doing and how they're handling and what they're seeing from the East Coast and their state. And what are you doing in Illinois? Oh, this is what we're doing in Texas. I mean, it was just so profound to just be able to feel like you weren't alone. And I think that's what's so wonderful about these associations is that you're not alone. You have friends that you can call on. One of actually my really, really good friends, Dean from Gear Motions, is a competitor of mine. He's huge, he's massive, but we probably talk once a week. And we met at the NAM because he's also on the board, the National Association of Manufacturers. And it's been so great to lean on him, even with like the PPP loan when we're all trying to figure that out. There has been so much camaraderie. And it's just so great to have friends and you don't have to talk about customers. You don't have to talk about pricing. You shouldn't, but it's so great to see what they're doing, how they're evolving, and best practices, which I think is amazing.
One of my friends who's also a writer and a videographer, he goes around the country doing videos for manufacturers and helps with their story brand stuff. And he wrote an article about how, his name is Chris Fox. He wrote an article about how manufacturers shouldn't worry about being so much competitors with each other, but in what ways can they start collaborating with each other? Because that's really going to push the needle forward for everyone. And I like that idea of you know, talking on the phone every day with one of your biggest competitors, but you guys working together to move the needle forward. And I think that's something that's going to help grow U.S. manufacturing even more is when we start talking to each other. Yeah, you can still have that friendly competitiveness and, talk trash behind the scenes with each other a little bit and make it fun, but to really progress forward and keep up with these newer technologies and best practices and stuff, it's good to be able to talk to one another. So
it's always good to lean on them for resources. And I can't tell you how many times I've been sent prints to quote because they couldn't do it or they didn't have the capacity. And that's super important that you have those avenues. I mean, whether it happens or doesn't happen, it's just kind of great that they thought of you and said, hey, let me give you the opportunity. I can't do it. So it's that collaboration that is, I think, paramount to keeping, like you said, this industry afloat and keeping us competitive on a world stage as well.
So without getting too political, because I don't like getting too political, but the new administration signed an executive order, I believe, about called Buy America, and it's really trying to focus on American manufacturing. And I was just wondering, what were some of your hopes or concerns with this new administration that's coming in terms of manufacturing here in the United States?
So I don't care who's in, whether you're a Republican, a liberal, a Democrat, progressive, far right, I don't care. My main concern, and I think the overwhelming majority of manufacturers can agree with me, is that please don't tax the living hell out of me. It's already tough enough on a global scale to stay competitive because of all the taxes and the wages and the benefits and everything else that kind of accumulates. I'm all for Made in America, continue to do it. I think that's fantastic. But the taxes really need to be reevaluated. As small business, the overwhelming majority of us take our profits and we redistribute it into our own companies. We're not greedy. We're not these big corporations that have hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal. So whatever we can profit, I know that a lot of us end up saying, okay, what can we do to purchase a machine? What can we do to grow our workforce? What can we do to give raises or bonuses? And the more that they tax us, the harder it is for us to do that and to implement great benefits, to implement raises, to implement something even as basic as internships. And it then really hurts the community. So I think they need to really reevaluate what it is that they're trying to do and save small businesses, save mid-sized businesses, save manufacturing, and go after the bigger dogs that have all of that money that they can probably spend. But it's really tough when you start to see that you're going to go from 21% or 22% now up to 28%. And then you have to worry about state regulations and state taxes that all compile. And it just makes it so difficult to be able to do business. It makes it difficult to keep your current staff. And it makes other people start to reevaluate what it is that they're doing. Do you need automation? Can you start having robots? And if you do, now you can let a couple people go and you just keep your high earners that can definitely program these machines and keep it going with the robots. And I think that just does such a disservice to America and America-made manufacturing and just the middle class in general. I don't pay anything under $20, so that just says a lot. I really focus on trying to give people great skill set, being able to help out and to really promote the industry as a whole. But that can only be sustainable for so long. If they start really raising and jacking up the taxes, then for sure I'm going to have to reassess.
Especially in a state like Illinois, because I live in Illinois, and the taxes are just ridiculous. It's like, come on. So I feel your pain there for sure. So as a woman in manufacturing, I appreciate you coming on this show and sharing your story, because I do think it's important. And my intention was not to say, oh, women are better than men and, the manufacturing industry is fine, even though I'm a little biased and I do think that a little bit. But my intention is to really bring awareness to the manufacturing sector and trying to make it more diverse, because there's studies out there, women think differently than men and men think differently than women. And I think that we just bring something to the table that wasn't there before. And it helps companies become more innovative and more profitable and just more diverse altogether. So what do you think is still missing from the sector that you're trying to bring awareness of or around about? And how what steps are you taking to make that happen?
I still think we're missing getting women interested in manufacturing. And I don't blame them, right? Like when I first came here, I was like, this is the least sexy thing I could be doing. I want to go be bougie in Manhattan. I just want that lifestyle. And it was just so incredible that I came here. And after a few years, I just fell in love with the industry. I fell in love with the whole energy, how great people are, how smart people are, and how there's something new to learn every single day. To me, I love chaos. I love fire drills. I think it's just so fun and it just gets me all worked up and it makes me think. I hate status quo, and manufacturing is the opposite of that. So I think that's what women don't understand, including young ladies. I try to do my part any way that I can, whether it's the high school, trying to talk to them. I am such a proponent of internships. I have a couple high schools that I'm very much in tune with all the time. I have Lake Zurich High School, I have Wakanda High School, and I try to get at least one lady in here every summer for them to understand what manufacturing is. And it doesn't need to be that they want to do this for the rest of their life. That's not why I do it. I just want to get them to see what it is. And, Gen Z, millennials, we love to talk. We love social media. So what better than to have these kids coming in at 16, 17, 18 that want to learn marketing or have some sort of like business idea and give them doing my social media here at the company, which is so completely different than what everyone else is doing. It's great. They develop different kinds of content. They have a different way of how they want to talk and a different way that they want to shoot videos. It's just all about TikTok and Instagram, fun things. And I think that that's super important that they capture that and that they send that out to their friends and their social media world and their friends, because then it just showcases what manufacturing is. And I think that's what we haven't been really good at doing, is showcasing what manufacturing really is today. And I try to get them to come. And, I've had a couple girls do it in the past. Some wanted to be in business, and they left with open eyes with manufacturing and said that was really cool. And my hope is that even if they don't end up in manufacturing, fine. But how great would it be is if, they go to college and they come back and they intern, or not intern, but they get a job interview at a manufacturing company. Now they understand what it's about. They have an idea and they don't feel so lost. And I think that's important because they don't really have an idea of what it is. And so if I can just change that one bit of what it is, I feel like I've won already. So, and of course, like when I do interns here, I always have lunch with them because I want to be available to them and I want to mentor them. We've learned through McHenry High School what not to do. You've had a couple girls be interested in manufacturing and want to take the classes, but unfortunately the school system didn't do them justice. And so they split up the girls in different periods. And so there's nothing more intimidating than being the only girl in your class. And so they dropped out. And they finally realized that, oh, well, we probably need to pair all these girls together so that they feel like there's representation. And that's what I want manufacturing to start doing, is being more vocal, start showing the representation of what we have. We have women, we have Latinos, we have African Americans, we have all walks of life, and we need to start showcasing that. And that's what I do with my social media. I'm constantly posting about my employees and my team and what it is that they're doing, because we're all different. And I think that we need to start showing that and being a part of that more, because there's nothing worse than not being represented and feeling alone.
Right. And I agree 100%. And I love all the stuff that you're doing on social media, because when I first entered in the industry back in 2008 as a writer, and I was talking about, hey, let's create this social media page for our publishing company, and everybody's like, no, that's not professional. No one's going to follow that. They're going to think that we're not a credible source of information. And I was like, but that's what everybody's doing, and we need to be in front of them. Yep. And I feel like some manufacturers are still stuck in that mindset where that it's going to show too much of something that they don't want to see. And really that transparency is what customers want right now. They want to feel like they're your friend. They want to feel like they're part of the family. They want to know everything about you and what you're doing. And I think you do it in such a great way, especially with some of the interns that you're working with. It really gives an inside look of how you do care about the community and why you want to move it forward. With the TikTok videos, the thing that's so ironic about that is most companies now, especially on LinkedIn, they're always talking about small bite-sized pieces of information. That's what's going to get people's attention. And everybody laughs at TikTok.
I love
from
TikTok. We're on
professional. Yeah, I'm not on it because I don't know how to work it. I still need to learn it. But my daughter, she makes fun of me because she's like, Mom, it's such an easy platform. And I'm like, I don't know how to use it. And she tries to teach me sometimes, but she's really good at it. And it just, to her, it only takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes to make a really short video that's really entertaining. And that's what manufacturers need on LinkedIn, is to show those small bite-sized videos that people retain and love so much. So I'm that's so interesting that you have TikTok, and I'm gonna have to look into that now.
I love TikTok. It is so addicting. I probably need to get banned from TikTok. I can't stop. It's like my first thing I start doing in the morning. It's the last thing I do at night. It's so bad. But I think that speaks volumes, though, because I think as manufacturers and even as business industry leaders, we need to start realizing that the people who are going to be the next workforce, that's what they're doing. So we need to start embracing these things quickly, and also embrace how it is that they want to be treated, how they want it, how they talk, and because I mean they're going to be your future purchasers, future engineers,
Right.
future salespeople, future marketers, everything, future CNC machinists, whatever the case may be. That's who we need to start understanding, and I feel like that's why my social media is just like blown up. Is that I've had 18, 17, 16, 20-year-old kids do my social media. And so they obviously talk a different talk than I do, and definitely a different talk than what my dad talks. But it resonates, right? Because it's different, it's new. I'm not sales pitching you every single
Yeah.
that I do a social media post. It's always about, hey, this is my team member. Look what he did today. Like, how cool is that? And of course, I throw in like a product spotlight every once in a while, but I'm not asking you to send me an inquiry at sales@hmmanufacturing.com. Like I feel like those days, it's just no one wants to be pitched. I hate when I get emails
Yeah.
all about, hey, blah, 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 and it's all just a sale. I delete them. I don't have time for that. But if you're going to come
Right.
with me and ask a question or want to network, I'm here for it. I mean, I can't tell you how large my inbox is on LinkedIn and just in general. And I always try to do what I can to respond to someone, especially if they have a question. I'm here for it, but I'm not
Great.
sales pitch.
Like, stop pitching me.
Right.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you would like to comment on before I let you go? And also, too, before you do make your final comments, the stuff that you're doing within the high schools, if you have any girls in particular that would like to share their experience too, please let me know, because I want to showcase that as well too. I want to showcase what students are doing within these manufacturing classes, and get their opinions, ideas, thoughts on why they join, what's fun about it, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, because I think you need to see it from all perspectives. Because some of the people that I've talked to, most of them have fallen into manufacturing by accident, and it wasn't something that was on their priority list or something that they wanted to do. So I think it would be nice to have that perspective from a student. So feel free to reach out to me with those stories as well too. But maybe before we go, is there anything else that you would like to say or mentioned or plug, if you want to say? Or
not gonna plug, but I'll say that I know we're all so busy. I can't stress it enough. I feel like manufacturing now is just booming out of control. But what I will say is that it is so worth it to take 4 or 6 weeks out of your day or your time, and definitely get an intern. I think it just does such a wealth of good for your company, for your team, and for the community. And as manufacturers, we really need to get better about bringing people in, showcasing what we're doing. And I don't think 4 to 6 weeks is too much to ask, but I think it's so important, and we definitely need to start doing our part more.
Great. Well, thank you everyone that joined in on this episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you to Nicole, and enjoy your Friday.
Yeah, thanks. You too. Thanks so much for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
This has been another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Subscribe for more and make sure to tune in next time.